You ever heard the story of a man who became a millionaire overnight and blew it all in less than an hour? Not over the course of a week, not a weekend bender in Vegas, not even an irresponsible year of figuring it out. I mean literally, gone. $1 million spent in a single hour. Now, most people, that moment would have changed the course of their life, for the worse. But for Shaquille O'Neal, it was just the beginning. That moment of recklessness, that $1 million meltdown, that was the turning point that would unlock the mindset of a man who would go on to build a business empire worth over $400 million and own everything from Reebok deals to Marilyn Monroe's brand. This isn't a story about basketball, it's a story about vision, discipline, and transformation. Because how do you go from not knowing what FICA means to owning more companies than Fortune 500 CEOs? Let's rewind. Shaquille O'Neal was 20 years old, fresh in the NBA and feeling unstoppable. He just signed his rookie contract. His agent called with the news. $1 million check was waiting. For Shaq, a kid who grew up watching his father grind every day and his mother stretch every dollar, this money wasn't just paper. It was proof. This was his moment to show up and show out. So what did he do? Straight to the dealership. Picked up a black Mercedes-Benz with the custom wheels, drop top, decked out, the whole nine. 150 grand just for the car. Easy. But when he got home, his father saw the car and said, "Where's mine?" Shaq didn't think twice. Went and bought his dad one too. Got one for his mother, added some jewelry, picked up a few suits, sprinkled in some luxury just because gifts. A few hours later, he got a call from his bank manager. "Shaquille, you've spent $1 million." Shaq was shocked. In his mind, he thought he had plenty left. What he didn't realize were those invisible monsters hiding in plain sight. Taxes, fees, FICA, state takes, agent commissions. He thought he was on top of the world. In reality, he was a few steps away from financial disaster. But here's what separates legends from losses. Shaq didn't play the blame game. Instead, he owned the moment. And more importantly, he learned from it. He realized something that most millionaires and even entertainers never really internalize. It's okay to admit you don't know something. But once you realize you don't know, you better start asking questions. He became obsessed with learning. He asked every successful person around him how they got rich, how they built, how they scaled. He picked the brains of mentors, moguls, and money men who had been playing the game a lot longer than he had. The first book he ever bought? The Complete Idiot's Guide to Starting Your Own Business. He didn't care if it sounded corny, didn't care how it looked, didn't care who judged. What he knew for sure was this: talent ends, checks stop. And if he wanted his money to live longer than his career, he had to build, own, invest. His wake-up call came early, but many don't get that chance at all. See, the reality is, 80% of professional athletes go broke within 5 years of retirement. Shaq? He's been retired for over a decade and getting richer every year. Fast forward a few years, he meets Magic Johnson at a charity event. The first jewel Magic ever dropped on him? It's cool to be famous. But at some point, you need to start owning things. Those words echoed in Shaq's head for years. So while other guys were pushing brands on commercials, he started asking, do I own this? Or am I just renting my face to it? That led him into tech investments, where he famously became an early investor in a little company called Google before the IPO ever dropped. That wasn't a tech play. That was a humility play. A stranger at the Four Seasons said, "Hey Shaq, I like what you do in the community. There's a company I think you should know about." Shaq knew the buzzwords, but didn't fully grasp the pitch. So instead of faking the funk, he said, "I've got some guys who speak your language." He sent the pitch to his team. They came back with a green light, and boom! He dropped a bag on Google before Google was Google. It wasn't luck. It was proximity, preparation, patience. Most importantly, DAO, discipline, awareness, ownership. Every deal he touched after that had to check 3 boxes. Does this product help people? Is it affordable and scalable? Could it live without me? Shaq created a new blueprint. From investing in Ring, the smart doorbell company, to sneaker deals with Walmart, his portfolio wasn't flashy, it was functional. When a woman criticized him outside an arena one day for selling expensive shoes to kids who couldn't afford them, he didn't just shrug her off, he listened. That led to one of his biggest turnarounds, creating a line of affordable sneakers that looked just as good as $200 kicks, but cost under $30. Today, over 400 million pairs sold. And yeah, the price tag was low, but the message was louder. I know what it's like to be that kid. I'm building for him. But his biggest flex wasn't a sneaker, it was a sneaker logo. While in college, he sketched out what became known as the Dunkman symbol, a silhouette of himself dunking the ball. He registered it before his first game in the NBA. Michael had Jordan. Shaq said, "I'm Dunkman." So while others were wearing logos they couldn't own, Shaq was making sure every shoe that got sold with his name on it paid him more, because he owned his identity, and he never stopped thinking ownership. Eventually, he went from owning a shoe brand to owning a piece of the companies he used to endorse: Papa John's, The General, Five Guys, Forever 21, J.C. Penney, Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe. Let that sink in for a second. The kid who didn't know what fika was back in 1993 now owns the rights to Marilyn Monroe and Elvis Presley's brands. That's not luck, that's legacy. But Shaq didn't just build businesses, he built identity, and he rebuilt his legacy. See, there's a difference between being a name and being a brand. Most celebrities cash in, they lease their name for checks. Shaq flipped the script. He didn't rent his influence. He sold with equity and impact in mind. When Papa John's was facing public backlash after a scandal, most celebrities ran the other way. Shaq walked straight in the front door, not for a sponsorship, but with a demand: I want equity, I want a voice, and I want to be on the board. And just like that, it wasn't Papa John's sponsoring Shaq. Shaq became Papa John's. He repositioned the brand, lowered prices, brought inclusive messaging, and yes, made the pizza taste better too. But he didn't stop there. One of the biggest gems he ever dropped? You can't be the smartest person in your circle. That's how you stay broke. He surrounded himself with seasoned investors, entrepreneurs, financial analysts, not yes men, sharp, straight-shooting people who challenged him to level up. His rule was simple: if he didn't understand an opportunity, someone on his team had to. If nobody understood it, they passed. Risk with wisdom, grit with guidance. And when it came to his kids, the same rules applied. A lot of rich parents use money like padding, handing their kids the kingdom without earning it. Shaq? Not even close. He tells his sons flat out, "You're not rich. I'm rich. If you want this money, go get 2 degrees and a business plan." To him, wealth without work is a liability. This is the same man who remembers eating off paper plates in a military-style household, who got whoopings when other NBA players made mistakes. His dad used to pull up the news, see an athlete crash and burn, and use it as a warning. Don't be that guy. You pull that nonsense, I'll make sure you don't have $1 left. That discipline never left Shaq. It became his fuel. It's why, even after blowing a bag on day one, he became the opposite of the stereotype. No yachts for no reason, no unnecessary flexing, no chains for likes. Instead, he's putting buildings up, funding education, donating millions anonymously, pulling up in underprivileged communities, not to speak, but to start businesses. He doesn't believe in transactional charity. He believes in transformational legacy. Because here's the thing, no one tells you. Making money is easy. Keeping it, that's the game. And Shaq plays the long game. He studies retail chains. He breaks down franchise models. He watches global markets and distributes his brand, not just across America, but around the world. He hired himself as the face of insurance, food, shoes, tech, and made sure he collected a cut every time a product sold, with or without his face on the box. Ever heard of Forever 21? J.C. Penney? Elvis Presley's name on a coffee mug in Kentucky? Yup, Shaq's in that too. Because this isn't about being flashy. It's about ownership, leverage, legacy. He realized early on, attention fades, assets don't. And that's what young creators, athletes, entrepreneurs, anyone on the come up need to understand. The goal isn't just to be rich. The goal is to be free. Ask yourself, can your money move while you sleep? Can you teach your kids what you've learned? Can you walk away today and still make money 10 years from now? Shaq can. Not because he got lucky, not because he was born into it, but because he listened when others laughed. Remember, a college professor once gave him an F for a business idea built around clothing and shoes for big men. His official comment in red ink? Big guys don't sell. Shaq just smiled, said, bet, and kept it moving. Today, that same idea, the one his professor clowned, is a multi-hundred-million-dollar brand. And the logo? The one he drew in his dorm room? It's 10 feet tall and cast in bronze outside the Staples Center. If that's not poetic justice, what is? Shaq's story isn't special because he made it out of poverty. It's special because he made it, then became the blueprint for how others could do it too. He learned early on that it's not about being in the game. It's about owning the stadium. Buy the land, own the logo, keep the margins, write the checks, cut the middleman, then help others do the same without charging them a course fee. That's legacy. So yeah, blowing $1 million in an hour? It wasn't the end of his story. It was the start of his revolution. And if Shaquille O'Neal, the 7-foot giant who couldn't tell you what fika was, could turn one mistake into a multi-brand franchise pyramid, what's stopping you? Everybody wants the empire, but very few want the education. So take the shot, shoot the logo, create your value, then protect it like your name depends on it, because it does. And you don't need $1 million. You need a mirror, a mindset, and one brutally honest conversation with yourself. Am I building something that lasts, or am I just spending like I already made it? The answer to that's your $1 million moment right there. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.